Hey, what's going on, people? It's your girl Denise Brown, Stylist. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please click on the subscribe button, like and leave a positive comment. Today I want to speak about who am I. When you look at my work doesn't suit me and my story. You see, I'm not your typical stylist who has that story, who's like, who's inspired from their family members, got pushed. And no, my life was always different. My life is that I'm coming from troubled background, was put into care, first endured depression at a really, really young age. Depression's been in and out of my life most of my times because it's probably about 4 years now. That's when I started to get counselling from all the things that I've actually been through. And my work is very deep. Sometimes when people look at people's work, you never know what is behind those pictures. The pictures could be beautiful. The woman could be elegant, she could be pretty, she could look amazing, but you never would know who is that person behind that work. Fashion changed my life because it helped to express the hurt and pain I endured growing up as a child. You see, I started to get bullied at 8 years old, and that's when I started to hate who I really truly was. When I looked in the mirror, I never used to like that little girl, and that's what affected me for part of my life. At 11 years old, my mother's friend used to go to Ghana. She used to bring back these amazing African print cloth, and that's when I first started to hand stitch. I made this amazing African gown and a hat inspired from Queen Latifah, those days, the hip hop days. I was really young, and then my name got on the road that I was a fashion designer. I was only young. I started to make clothes for friends and family. At 15 years old, I got my first teddy bear, my first ever proper baby, which was my sewing machine, Singer. I used to go out to bashment clubs. Those days it was about, Bujo, Caperton. I was obsessed with Shabba. Dancehall was my thing. I was that girl that used to be dancing and, flipping her bum as well. Yeah, so I used to make a lot of inspired bashment dancehall outfits for my friends as well. My signature was gold. I was inspired by Versace when I opened up Vogue magazine and I saw Naomi Campbell, Christine Furlington, Linda Evangeliste modelling Versace. I was like, oh my God, who is that guy? I love him. Gold became my signature. Every outfit I wore, I had to have gold accessories, I had to have gold shoes and even gold buttons. I used to love them in your face kind of outfits. Anything that I made was just in your face. You see, my story is so different from the rest. It's not just your typical stylist where I got help and I was, pushed as a young child. I was a different young child. I was brought up in the life of crime from a really young age. First got arrested when I was 11 years old. That's another story. And then throughout my time as a teen, I got arrested more than 5 times by the time I was 15. But you know what? I had fashion. Fashion was always my thing. Unfortunately, I got put into the care system, and that's when my life changed. And that's when I started to endure deep, deep, deep depression. I wanted my mother. I didn't know my father, so it was a shock that my mother was no longer my guardian. At that time, I also left school with no qualifications, so my dream of going to London College of Fashion was doomed. I didn't let that stop me. I fought for my love, my passion, which was fashion. And I did work experience growing up as a teenager. Even on the flip side, I used to do criminal activities because that's how I was raised. But I still always had that thing in my mind, I'm gonna be the next top designer. I worked with Hussein Chalayan, I worked with ID. Then I became a young mother. I had to hold back my career, but that still didn't stop me of getting there. One of my biggest achievements was getting into London College of Fashion as a young mother. It was really hard because when I got into London College of Fashion, it was a whole shocker. A lot of the students, they had their family support, they had money. Then you had me, young Denise Brown, single mother, living in a temporary accommodation, confused with who I was, but really wanted to do fashion. I remember when I had to start doing art, sketching and that. I never done that because back in the days, like when I used to do my fashion, I just used to put the fabric on the floor, draw the idea, cut it out. But then the method was always different, and I remember just sketching and thinking to myself, this is so boring. I felt to leave, but something was saying, no Denise, don't leave. stuck it out, did my women's wear. Eventually I graduated, did a 4-piece collection based on astronauts. Here's one of the pictures of the outfits that I made in leather many years ago. Yeah, I made that. What made me become a stylist was after I graduated, I decided that I'm not going to be the next Versace. I don't have money, so how am I going to be making massive collections and putting it out there, be on Fashion Week? That wasn't going to happen. That's when I decided that I want to be a stylist. Now, I didn't know how I was going to be a stylist. I just knew this is what I needed to do. I started from doing loads of internships, from a gift box idea that I sent to a magazine. They opened it, and from then it went on and on and on, because all I done was network. You see, I was always told that I'm never going to be nothing. I'm going to end up being like my mother. I refused to be like her. I want to show the people them who told me I was going to be nothing, from the teachers to the people to the family, that I am something. I had to work hard. My life was always different. I was raised differently, and I didn't want to have that life no longer. So I wanted to get away from that type of life of who I was. I eventually became a stylist, fashion editor for Touch magazine, and that's when I started to style all these top celebrities, and then I started to work as freelance with several magazines, which I style from streetwear to high fashion to high street. My style it's just a different variety. A lot of the times people say, oh yes, you know, it's glamorous, it's glitzy, it's amazing, but sometimes it's not really out to what a lot of people say it is. It is a lot of work, it is grinding, you got to be patient, you got to know how to take shit. Sometimes you can lose yourself because you're in this kind of mold of how you should be and what people expect from you. But I would always say to anyone who's getting into this game, be yourself. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Look at me, you could be whatever you need to be. You don't need to be that person who worked with this, with that. You can just be your crazy self who come from a different type of background, but you can make it. It's about what you have within. It's about the passion. Do you want this? Without this, how do you feel? That's why I'm here to share my story with you. I'm more than my work. I'm inspirational. I inspire. I push. I've taught and mentored at least 300 young people. I work in different settings when I'm teaching, and also working on a one-to-one, dealing with young people who's got mental illness, dealing with young people who's got mental health. I've worked in the PRU, kids who's been kicked out of school, with gang members. I've worked with autistic kids. So what I'm saying to you guys, I am more than just my work. I'm Denise Brown. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share this with your friends.